righty, welcome into the Whatcom County Football Podcast. It's episode 51. I'm your host, Ryland Spencer of Cascadia Preps. Along with me is Tyler Anderson of Whatcom Preps, and our special guest tonight, Whatcom County's all-time winningest quarterback, Josh Kraght. Josh, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
2013 graduate of Lynden, then you went off and played football at Portland State. What is Josh Kraght up to these days?
Yeah, so I live down in Everett with my wife, Jessie. We moved up from Portland last year and bought a house, right in Everett. She works in the Mukilteo School District. And I've been on with Puget Sound Fire, which is down in Kent, for about coming up on a year now. So, just have a house, a couple dogs, keep busy, and it's kind of what I'm up to.
But you said down in Kent?
Yeah, so I work down in Kent. Yeah.
Okay, I live basically in between Kent and Everett. That is one ridiculous commute you have there.
Yeah, it's not been bad with COVID and with 24-hour shifts. I don't have to go down there too much. So it's not too bad, but COVID's made a huge, it's yes. Nice.
I live right along the freeway, and trust me, it's never been so quiet at my house in the decade I've been here. So
pretty nice.
I guess if there's a silver lining for me, that's all that it is. 3-sport athlete in high school: football, basketball, baseball. First off, just kind of a little, do you know how many state championships did you win? Obviously teams. How many did you win?
There's one that kind of is a caveat, my freshman year in football, which I was on the team, but I didn't play. So let's not count that one. 2 football and 1 basketball, I think.
How many league championships? No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know.
I think most people would probably, and I don't know if you agree with this.
My dog's a little wild. Sorry.
This is the first. We've had kids in the background. This is the first time we've had a dog on the Whatcom County Football Podcast, other than me and Tyler.
That's right.
So I think most people would, and let's see if maybe you agree here. Football was kind of the number one. Baseball was really close though, and basketball was almost kind of I don't want to say for fun thing, but it was never really like the main focus. Was baseball ever a thought beyond high school, or was it always football?
Yeah, great question. So freshman year, played freshman football, and then played JV basketball, and then baseball came around, and I was lucky enough to play varsity catcher as a freshman, mostly because there's nobody else to play. But that was kind of the sport. I had a good freshman year, and going into the summer, that was kind of the one I was focusing on. But then sophomore year football rolls around, and the bright lights of Friday night are kind of hard to compete with. What I tell a lot of people is, looking back, there's a lot more 5'10" slow white guys playing baseball than football. So I don't know. Baseball is such a hard sport to begin with. So I guess it was kind of neck and neck for a little bit, but kind of once that sophomore year rolled around, definitely all football. But I never really focused on baseball much after I knew football was kind of what I wanted to pursue. But love playing. Is there any
interest college-wise for baseball?
No. I didn't play super well my sophomore and junior year, and I didn't necessarily try to put myself out there anyways. And it wasn't just necessarily the focus. But yeah.
By not playing well, it's probably like he hit like under 400, maybe.
Yeah. Tyler and I were very well versed in not playing well in baseball.
Right. So you talked a little bit about your freshman year at Lynden, playing freshman football, but no varsity snaps at all your freshman year. Maybe a little bit on special teams or something like that.
So what Coach Cramey did was he would move up 10 or 12 freshmen to fill out the varsity roster for the playoffs, mostly to get exposure to, what varsity looks like, the offense, defense, whatnot. Because at that time, we ran a completely different offense on C team and defense as well. So his idea was move some freshmen up. And I know a lot of the programs do that as well. But I think I got a couple snaps in on a blowout playoff game but nothing of significance.
Right. I mean, do you think, I mean, because you came in as a sophomore and starred right away on both sides of the ball. Do you think if you would have, I know that Coach Cramey likes to protect his freshmen a lot. He kind of always did that. He didn't really want to play guys as freshmen. A few guys did, not very many. But your class, not just you, but the Matt Myers and the Zach Visses and those guys that were physically big enough to probably play varsity football. Do you think that if you guys would have played as freshmen, there would have been much of you guys think would have put a dent into it at all? Or that team was already so loaded with upperclassmen, it probably wouldn't have mattered?
Yeah, I think Cramey's philosophy was, as a freshman, you're only going to play varsity if you start.
Right.
You're not going to do part-time, where some of us may be good enough to like play some mop-up time or some backup time on varsity, maybe. I didn't feel like I was ready because there's so much growth you go from your freshman to sophomore year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't even know if I was ready. And that was kind of Cramey's philosophy was, I think like Blair Bomber started as a freshman, but he was ready. So either start or you play C team. And I'm really glad. I mean, if you're a young guy and you're not physically developed, you're not ready, you can have a bad experience. All of a sudden you're benched and now you're on the seat. Yeah. So
yeah,
I think the way he does it, and I think that's what a lot of programs do, I'm sure, but definitely made it work for our class.
Your first game as a sophomore, you shared time with Jordan Kraght at quarterback. You actually caught 5 passes playing receiver in that game, including a touchdown. You ran the ball for 69 yards. You completed 6 of 8 for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. You kind of played all over the place. You ultimately won the job at quarterback, but tell us about Jordan Kraght, because I think that if he played at a different school, he could have been a really, really great starting quarterback. And that's a tough position to be in for someone that's a year older than you to be the backup to you. But if you look at his numbers and like, because he would come in every once in a while and play a possession here, a possession there. But when you total all his numbers together, his passer rating is like the 5th highest in Whatcom County history. He was a great quarterback. So tell us about him a little bit. And he's kind of an unsung player that deserves some notoriety, I believe.
Absolutely. Jordan's a great guy. I mean, I don't keep in touch with him anymore, but he was, obviously a great guy. I think baseball was his like focus. He was a really good baseball player. Really good golfer, by the way, too. But yeah, I think the way Coach Cramey ran the program is, he's going to give his upperclassmen every chance to play. But at the end of the day, at every position throughout Cramey's history of coaching, what he thought the best play for the team, that player would play. And so I think that expectation was set since the minute you step into the program. And so I don't want to speak for Jordan at all, but I think, we always had a great relationship, and he was, to have a backup like that is,
Yeah.
Luckily I never got hurt, but I don't think we would have missed a beat really. And you saw it when he came in other games, we didn't miss a beat, and just a great guy. We were lucky to have that much talent at quarterback, and definitely would have skipped a beat if I went out.
Mentioned Portland State earlier, played wide receiver, played quarterback also. One, what was that experience like playing both positions? And do you think playing quarterback helped you as a receiver and vice versa?
Yeah, it was a really interesting time at PSU. College football is very unique in and of itself. And then being at a school, it's just an interesting school to begin with. Wouldn't change my experience for the world, but and then playing both wide receiver and quarterback, bouncing around. To answer your question, I think it really did help me be a better both receiver and quarterback, knowing both positions well. Because I know receivers that have never played quarterback think they're open all the time. And they're, why didn't you see me? I was open. But so going to play receiver, I knew that. I knew when the ball was probably coming my way or when it wasn't. I felt like I was really good at scramble drill, because at quarterback, I knew what you're looking for when you're scrambling, and I knew how to get open. as a receiver. So yeah, it definitely helped. Yeah, definitely an interesting 5 years down at Portland State.
Were you recruited by Nigel Burton?
Yeah, I was.
And then played for Barney, right?
Yeah, Coach Burton was there my redshirt freshman year and freshman year.
And then Barney after that. And there was some success with those teams, right?
There was one year we went to the playoffs, 6th in the country, I think, ranked, got a bye, and then lost.
Wild times. I mean, that's a very interesting program, especially now. They're not even playing downtown; they're playing out in Hillsboro, and
it's wild.
I know the quarterback who's there now, Davis Alexander, pretty well. You would have been there right at the end, or he would have been there right at the end with you, right?
Yeah, he played all. So me, Jelani Eason, and Davis all kind of split time my senior year. Gotcha. Yeah, Davis is a great guy, great quarterback.
Yeah, probably might have like the strongest arm I've ever seen, and he's just a complete dork.
He's a dork.
He is a dork, but he is so funny.
Yeah, he can throw a football through the wall behind you.
Yeah, and he's actually like he's got like Johnny Manziel and Baker Mayfield and like all of the quarterbacks that most fans just despise on other teams is like Davis Alexander. Like he's just he's so unbelievable. But Tyler, what do you think? 5 names?
Yeah, I think it's a good time for it.
All right, we're gonna do 5 names. So I'll give you a name. You just give me kind of the first thing that pops into your mind when you hear that name. All right.
Okay.
All right. First one, Dak Shagrin.
Underrated.
Underrated?
Yeah.
Maybe Tyler told me.
I don't know.
Tyler told me. I believe this is right, Tyler. This is the young man that is has the best punting average ever.
Yeah, in Whatcom County history.
Yeah, underrated as a receiver, I think.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
But that's just we had a lot of guys to throw to.
Yeah, a few. Now my favorite player on this entire list here, Brett DeGraff.
Smart, way smarter than all of us. I think he's getting his doctorate right now. So.
Oh wow.
So way smarter than anybody that's talking in here. Too.
Yeah.
Luke Christensen.
One of a kind.
Well, the next one is, in my eyes, one of a kind also. Caleb Newman.
Ferocious. Yeah, just always in the moment.
Yeah, that guy was nuts. I think I've told this little story on here before. Maybe not, I don't know. But I remember in the Tacoma Dome watching him like punch himself in the head getting ready for a game.
Yeah,
I just remember being like, dude, that guy is out of his mind. And then he had like 2 sacks and like a fumble and like, I mean, it was, last one, Kurt Cramey.
Just speechless, kind of a one of a kind too. Yeah, greatness, honestly. He's great. Great coach, great person. And gone too soon.
When you think of playing for Kurt Cramey and kind of a lot of former athletes or people that, we've had on podcasts and different things, they talk about like kind of how certain coaches shaped them and influenced them. What are some of the things when you think of Kurt Cramey that, are there things like still nowadays where you're like, man, Kurt Cramey, you know what I mean? Like, what are some of those things that kind of made you who you are today?
Yeah, the interesting thing with Coach Cramey is he's not this rah-rah guy. He's not necessarily a coach that was friends with a lot of his players. I mean, I've golfed with him several times and those types of things, but very unique person. But the thing that I got the most from him was it's a silly phrase, but like he said it all the time. He makes you believe it. And it's just, you probably heard it a million times, but like his setback, come back. And just that whole mantra, and you could probably write a whole book on that, right? Of when something bad happens to you, how you're going to react, right? And that's on the football field. But I mean, post-football, married, living professional life, I mean, setback, comeback. I mean, what are you going to do when you make a mistake? So we can rant on that for days. But I know I say that in my head all the time. And then another thing is just his discipline and his competitiveness. I mean, that guy, I don't know if he necessarily showed it all the time, but he wanted to win, and then he wanted to prepare, and he prepared like none other. And yeah, he was very, really competitive, and but at the end of the day, cared about his players, and he never took the credit. He's a very humble guy. So yeah, I miss him a lot.
Playing at Lynden, obviously there's a ton of tradition. There's so much history there. I mean, even like you said, at your freshman year, was a state championship. Your 7th grade year, they win state. Or no, I'm sorry, your 8th grade year, they win state. Your 6th grade year, they win state. It's like you're growing up watching these state championship runs. What kind of nerves did you feel getting on the field that first time behind center? Just like, okay, did you feel like it's on you now, or were you excited for the moment?
Definitely excited. It's an interesting process growing up. I mean, I remember playing football in the side field on like the east end of the field, run around as a little kid, watching, Alex Ellig, Chris Bull, all those guys, playing. And so it's definitely hype it up in your mind growing up. And then that first time run on the field with, that time of year, it's still light out. So lights quite aren't shining yet. But I think any competitor would tell you that once the ball is snapped and the play goes, you really kind of don't notice anything. But there's definitely nerves in pregame and run on the field and hear the band play, all that stuff. But the first time it's kind of a big unknown. You have no idea if you're going to do well, if you're going to do bad. So it's probably super cliche, but you kind of just you play football. And it's something that I at that point was doing, most of your life. I get more nervous for stupid things that I don't do very often, not things that you do all the time, like this podcast. I mean, I don't do podcasts or whatever these things are called, Zooms, but you guys are probably don't think twice about it, but I'm kind of sitting here like, I don't know what to say, those things. But the point being, when you have prepared and you've played football your whole life, I think some people that might think the moment's bigger than it actually is once the pads start hitting. So,
yeah. Also, one of the things I've noticed, and I've watched a ton of film from when you played. I saw you play live, obviously. The one thing that always looked funny to me, especially like your senior year, you'd be in shotgun, and I swear, I think you knew exactly where you were going to throw, when you were going to throw before the ball was snapped, because you'd get the ball, turn, throw it. Like your feet didn't even hardly move. You looked like you never danced around in the pocket. You didn't really like jump, but you didn't like set or anything. You just kind of get it. You got in the throwing motion and threw it. And it would just looked so easy. I know it's not that easy. People say when they watch Robinson Cano play baseball, oh, he's making it look really easy. It looks like he's bored out there. Definitely you weren't bored. But the contrast of that is when you would take off and run, you just stand there and then boom, you were like at full speed in 2 steps. So how well did you just know that offense, especially by your 3rd year there, that you kind of knew maybe where you were going based on the defense that you saw?
Yeah, I mean, first I'll say it's pretty easy when every one of your receivers is like 6'3" or taller. Nice.
That helps.
Not many. You can kind of throw it anywhere. Our offense, it was really simple, and I always had a pretty good idea of where I was going to go with the ball. Now, that being said, that could have potentially limited me at the next level because you don't learn, progressions and reads and those things. But at a high school level, it was great. I think Coach Cramey, we schemed defenses. We knew the looks we were going to get from the film study, and it was pretty simple. Throw this guy's open. If he's not, you got your second read. And I kind of joke about, receivers being 6'3", but it's true. I mean, all jokes aside, when you have that much talent to throw to, even your bad throws are maybe just incomplete because they break it up, they're not intercepted or whatnot. So if I made it look easy, it's just because we had a lot of talent on the field and good coaching.
I think that might be like the most obvious what we expected type answer ever. I think you're 100% right though about like progressions and stuff. People don't realize, there's a lot of different progressions. There's pure progression, just 1, 2, 3, 4. There's alert on this side with a progression over here. There's mirrored. There's, keys. There's so many different things that people maybe don't realize and don't learn in high school. It's truly phenomenal to watch these NFL players and like try to figure out exactly why they did certain things. And you're like, wow, that's not what I expected until I saw the film. I mean, it's pretty wild. But you mentioned growing up, watching guys and playing on that field off on the one side. Who were some of the guys? You mentioned 2 names. I didn't catch them, but who were some of the guys you grew up kind of like idolizing? Tyler will tell you that. Tyler, who was it the guy that you wanted to be? One was Zach Sitma.
Yeah, but he just graduated. But when I was a kid, Ty Harrison at Meridian was
Ty Harrison.
Man, he was amazing. I was like, oh, I want to play high school football someday. And yeah.
So if Josh Kraft growing up, if there was a Whatcom County Posters.com and all it was Whatcom County high school football players, who's on the back wall for Josh Kraft?
Yeah, it's kind of silly to think about because like most of these guys were just lame adults now, and it's not even a big deal. But
just like us.
they're larger than life. Like
when you're a kid,
when I was a kid, when I was a kid, there was so many guys at one. John Fiala, who played in the NFL, he was at like our rival school, but I loved him. There was John Ide, who ended up going to Stanford. Kevin Griffin went to Ohio State from the high school that I went to. Like there was these guys, and I just remember thinking they're like larger than life. And then you get into high school, and you're like, look at like I remember one time looking at the stands and being like, wow, those little kids over there don't even give a crap. They're all off here, they're over here playing games, and I'm like, man, when I was a kid, I was watching the game because like I wanted to get that dude's autograph. You know what I mean? And so like, who were those guys for you?
Yeah, no, it's funny the progression of growing up idolizing them. Then you get there, you're like, oh, this is cool, and then you graduate and you see little kids run around. But definitely, Chris Bolt was one, super talented. So that kind of whole class. Remember the first good quarterback that I remember was Alex Ellig. And then Brady Bomber. He was basketball and football. So those were the main guys. Like I said, I don't have a super good memory, but those were the guys that I definitely looked up to. And obviously some really good players.
Don't worry, you don't have to have a great memory. All those guys you just mentioned, Tyler's like this many yards, this all state, was born at this hospital by this doctor. And, so Tyler, you're going to go with your game after I ask this next question, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I've got a little bit of a game here for you in a way. It's not a game, but it's something that I'm going to try to stump Josh Kraft. All right.
Okay.
3-year starter at quarterback at Lynden, 76 passing touchdowns, 46 rushing touchdowns. Tyler mentioned earlier you did catch a touchdown also. There was one game in your high school career, though, where you didn't have a single touchdown. You didn't throw for one. You didn't rush for one. Do you know what game it was?
I think so. Did I have 2 interceptions as well?
Ooh,
No.
Tyler.
No.
I guess against Cedar Crest.
I was going to say, I know which game you're talking about, the Cedar Crest game, but you ran in a touchdown that game.
I got benched that game, actually.
Yeah. Jordan came in and did really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So sorry, a game where I didn't throw or run one?
Yeah.
Oh, I know. I could say.
Well, we'll give you a clue here.
Okay.
It would have been senior year, correct, Tyler?
Yeah.
You went 6 for 6 for 52 yards.
I think
passing.
Anacortes.
Nope, not Anacortes, but kind of in that same realm, if you will. Sultan High School.
We played Sultan.
Yeah.
I don't even remember that game.
Yeah, it's because you probably only played one quarter and then they took you out.
Oh, is that the one we had to get? I think
it was like a crossover game to get to the.
Was that the game we had to get sent back in? Do you remember that?
Oh, they started scoring at the end. So yeah.
Okay, that's a funny story.
Yeah.
Well, let's hear it.
Yeah.
I think he pulled us. And Luke's got his, I don't think I had my pads like off, but Luke had his buckles, his pads unbuckled, his shoulder pads. I mean, yeah, just like we're totally done. And all of a sudden Kramer's like, "Hey, you're going back in." And we had to go in there and run. I think I just handed the ball to Luke off, and he had, I don't know if his shoes were tied, and shoulder pads undone, and he gets like 20 yards. And then we come back out and they, ice the game. But yeah, I remember that. I remember that now that they kind of made a comeback.
Yeah, they did a little bit, but yeah, it's just one of those weird games where you went in there, you completed all your passes.
Did we run the ball? Just
ran the ball a ton. Yeah, I think Luke ran for like 200 yards.
Yeah.
Scored like 4 or 5 times on the ground, and then you guys are up early. You come out of the game. You just never. I think in that Cedar Crest game, I know which one you're talking about, but I think you ran in a touchdown that game. So,
okay.
But yeah, it's what a career.
Funny.
But you're gonna get back into the memory banks here, and you'll have fun with this one, I think. So, my game is, I'm gonna call it the Dirty Dozen. This is, you completed a touchdown pass to 12 different players at Lynden. How many of them can you name?
Okay.
Just start rattling them off.
Zach Viss.
Yep.
Dak Shagrin.
Yep.
John Shine.
Yep.
Lou Christensen.
Yep.
Jelani Phelps.
Yep.
Kyle Hansen.
Yep. That's you're halfway there.
No, it's only half. Shoot.
That's the fastest halfway point we've ever.
I know. That was pretty quick. I just remember Lawrence Honkoop going, John Shine.
Here's one for you that this is crazy. Hudson Gratton.
Yes, Hudson Gratton. I didn't think
I remember that play.
Yeah.
Tyler might be in some trouble here.
No.
I'm just trying to think of did everyone throw into Scooter? Scott Hastings?
Nope.
Jordan Wittenberg?
Nope.
This gets unfair if I just start guessing.
Man. You have to go back to your sophomore year.
Right. Joey Garcia.
Yep.
Oh, I've had to have thrown one to who's the younger running back? Maybe not. Trent Postma?
No.
I didn't throw into him. Okay. Am I at 9?
2, 3, 4. You're 8.
Nate Wheelinga?
Yeah. That was your first touchdown pass was to him.
Okay. Jeremy Martin?
Yeah. Only 2 left.
Caleb Newman? Did I ever throw him?
Yes, Caleb Newman.
Caleb Newman?
Yeah. Caleb Newman play a little running back.
Played running back. His head won't be able to fit through the door if you talk to him about it. So
He's a pretty good offensive tackle, I think.
Yeah. One more. Dak.
I want to say your junior year.
I'll insert the Jeopardy theme song here just to.
This is unbelievable. 11 out of 12. This is great.
Yeah, I know I'm gonna know it.
There's probably
how many did I throw to this person? How many did I throw?
How many total touchdowns?
Yeah, to this one person.
Oh, to this one person? Oh man, I don't have that number in front of me, but I'm gonna guess like maybe two or 3.
Okay.
So yeah.
So it's junior year. Yeah, I don't know.
Jake Jones.
Oh, Jake Jones. Yeah. I wouldn't have got that, but he's a good player.
Yeah. I mean, that's, again, you talk about the talent that you had around you. There's not a lot of guys that they could say they completed touchdowns to 12 different players through their career. It's pretty amazing. So,
a lot of talent, obviously.
I got to ask you about, I'm a big numbers guy, obviously stats, drive me and everything. But the number 3, why the number 3 at Lynden? It's what they gave you.
And don't say Blake Whitman.
He started the trend.
It was just kind of my number from the beginning. Yeah, I wish I had some cool story, but I just kind of like it. And 3 seems kind of a universal number for, I don't know, things. But
did you wear it for all 3 sports?
Yes, I think freshman year baseball I might have like 18 or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just liked it.
Yeah.
Well,
hey, you can't go wrong with Babe Ruth.
Right. Yeah.
A-Rod.
Oh, whoa.
Russell Wilson.
There you go.
Mentioned Blake Whitman. He's a friend of the program, a complete clown.
Oh, I'm sorry that he's a friend. I'm sorry.
Yeah. He actually texted me earlier tonight hoping that I'd make a mistake or something. I don't know what he's doing there, but when you think back of Blake Whitman, are there any stories that you got that we can get out there that might, make him blush as he's listening to this right now?
So when I say I have bad memory, I'm bad at stories, but the one funny thing with Blake is he's a super good guy, very, clean mouth. And I'm not saying our coaches cursed much at all. It's high school, obviously, guys aren't, I feel like I'm balancing a line here, but like there's not a lot of cursing, but coaches get fired up, and we're 3-year starters, and I think choice words were used here and there, but he never would. And he would just, gosh darn it, words where, phrases that obviously use a choice word, he would never say. And, I love Blake, but not saying that you can't quite take him quite as serious.
You mean he's one of those guys that he'd get angry with something and be like, what the fudge? Like,
yeah.
It's like Phillip Rivers. You ever hear Phillip Rivers go on one of his rants?
Exactly.
So funny.
Yeah. But one of the most respected coaches, and bleeds green and gold. And, I guess the other thing is, I don't know if people know this, but he's got a fake eye.
Mm-hmm.
One of his eyes is fake, and so he'd always have his hat like a little turned sideways. And I think if new coaches or players didn't know him, they thought he was kind of like trying to have a little bit of swagger. But little did they know it was just he because sun would come, would just shine in one side, so he just like tilt his hat, over towards the good eye.
Yeah. Oh, he's awesome.
Actually hilarious. How about and obviously we can't ask about one Blake if we don't ask about the other. How about Van Dalen? Anything about Van Dalen that I know he listens every week? Anything that we can make fun of him for?
Oh man, Blake is known to blow a few gaskets, but talk about a guy that just coaches you hard but loves you hard. And that's my favorite coaching style. Blake stories, man. Nothing specific, but just a guy that just a lot, wears his emotion on his sleeve. But I think a lot of players really appreciate that. And he'd be the first guy to come and to apologize to you if you thought he made a mistake. Just an honest guy that obviously loves coaching and super competitive. But yeah, you need to get all of us in the room at the same time so we can start bouncing ideas off each other. That's when this idea start coming out, because one person says one thing, then but Blake's been known to get a little fired up sometimes.
I think once this COVID thing is all over, Tyler, I think you just gave me an idea. We need to set up some cameras and do one of those deadliest catch roundtables. You know what I mean? And just get 4 or 5 guys sitting around and just basically what you and I can do is sit across from each other, have 3 guys on each side, and we'll just kind of you can give me a script of different things to put out there, and we'll just kind of
let them go
something out in the middle and just
you wouldn't have to say anything. You wouldn't have to say anything.
No, we just throw something out there and just let them go, because you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember that Sultan game when they had to put the guys back in and just put it out there and just watch what happens?
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's some really good stories about those two up in the booth, because they'd be up in the booth together. Oh man, yeah, some good stories.
Maybe that's where the original Blake and Blake show got started.
I think so.
There needs to be a camera on them. Well,
maybe that's a little bit of why they're not on the sideline together now. I know that Whitman's still up in the booth, and maybe there was a story, Tyler. Do you remember the story?
Oh yeah, there was a
one about them getting mad at each other.
Right. Oh. Yeah.
And I don't know if that would have been when he was there.
I can't imagine them getting mad at each other.
No, because it was when Coach Van Dalen was head coach and Whitman was second guessing him and stuff.
Yes, that's right.
Van Dalen turning up and looking at him, and
Since we're on the topic of stories and rumors and things, there's a rumor out there that you're kind of like a legend in the weight room, and I saw you got a little flex going on there now. somebody mentioned something about like a legendary squat number with you. Like, did you have a big number in the squat?
I have naturally strong legs, put it that way. I did work at it, but like Matt Meyer squatted more than me. I mean, I think
Yeah, but he's a lineman.
He's twice your size.
You even mentioned it. You're a short white guy. Like, you're not supposed to be,
Yeah, no, yeah, I have a good squat. I worked at it.
The wife must love that.
Yeah. I haven't been lifting as much recently, and so she made a sly comment about, them not being as strong as normal.
Oh man.
No, but yeah, I forget my high school numbers. I honestly do. But it was humbly, like, it was more than most, I would say. It wasn't such an astronomical number.
Was the bar bending?
No, maybe like if I was up, walking back, but not.
Yeah.
I think it was maybe closer to 400, but not over 4.
Okay.
But that definitely increased in college. So
not bad for a short.
I definitely took a little pride with it because a lot of people like to sit on the bench press, and
exactly.
I did like to squat. But in all honesty, it's a lot of genetics. I think there's a lot of guys that work their butt off squatting and just can never hit certain numbers. So
Tyler loved squatting because he only had to go down about that far.
But
it's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the short guys, they love it. I mean, I squatted about 315 and I only weighed, 130 in high school, but but I couldn't bench my weight, that's
Right.
the thing. And so there's certain guys that, and a lot of it, you're right, is genetics. But there's something about it that when you go back up, you just feel pretty good about it. And you see these big guys looking at you like, man, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially coming from Mount Baker where, lumberjacks and mountaineers out there. So
I don't know, Ryland, if I was to guess between you two right now, who's from Baker, it'd be you.
Oh yeah.
Not Kirkland.
Yeah. Although it's only because I my flannel is over here.
Okay.
I'd really be the Baker guy. Yeah. This guy's got jokes, Tyler.
I know, he's great. Oh, it's awesome. You brought up you brought up Matt Meyer and guys like him and Zach Viss that we haven't really even talked about. I mean, your class of seniors, I don't know if there's been a better class as far as talent goes, just as a singular class in Whatcom County history. But did you guys, like, from Pee Wee football on, were you guys all kind of the same core guys, or did some guys move into the district later, or was it basically you guys all the way?
Yeah, great question. It was all of us kind of from day one, and that's really, I think, what made our group special. And not only us, but I know, like, the whole parent scene in high school can get really weird. Mm-hmm. But all of our parents, I'm talking like some of these names you might not know, but like Tanner Olson, Dak Shagrin, John Shine, Luke Christensen, Caleb Newman, Matt Meyer, probably missing people. I mean, all of them got along super well. I remember, 10-year-old Cal Ripken baseball going and just having a great time, traveling the state and kind of the country playing baseball. And there was never any politics. And I think that's really what kept our group together. There's never politics between, any of us or the parents. And if there was, we never heard about it. And I think that's, you hear stories about kids these days. I mean, you guys are around high school athletes all the time. It can get really messy. So I think that was really important. But growing up, we love to play and compete. And it's kind of what we were focused on. And I think we all stayed together. I think like Dak with like basketball went and did a little bit of stuff down south. Tanner, I think, did some stuff in baseball and stuff, but like for the most part, it was about Lynden high school sports. And we all kind of had the same common goal. And so, yeah, I think that's kind of what made it special in terms of, the best class. Like, that's for other people to argue, but we just had a great time playing together. And I think there's a lot of reasons that made us good. And it's just a lot of fun looking back. looking at seeing just the progression all the way from Pee Wee to high school and then into college. So
what I envision is like that Varsity Blues picture, right? Where it's Tweeter, Billy Bob, was it Lance Harbor,
Right.
and
Mox.
Jonathan Moxon. So let's just go with it here. Okay. Let's just say you're Lance Harbor.
So,
right?
all right, caveat: I don't watch a lot of TV or movies, but I'm not super familiar with Varsity Blues.
What?
Sorry, I get this all the time. There are movies.
Oh no, I'm the same way. But like Varsity Blues, that's like
I literally grew up watching Sports Center, so.
I mean, I can't blame you there. Stuart Scott, right? Like, I mean,
Oh man, Scott
Kenny
Van Pelt,
Mayne,
best. Oh,
Yeah.
Kenny
And
Mayne.
Patrick, baby.
Yeah,
Tyler's
So,
a big Dan Patrick guy.
Yeah,
you might need to pivot if I'm supposed to compare.
When we had Tyler, was it Jake Locker? And you were flipping out because he's like the first guy we've ever had that was on the Dan Patrick show.
That's right. That's right.
Tyler was losing his mind. Like,
I listen to DP a lot. He's awesome.
Yeah, he's the best. He's the best.
so living down in Everett now, from Lynden, long time. I got to know, and this is something we talk about on this podcast a lot. I got to know if Josh Kraft is having one meal in Whatcom County. I want two questions. This is a two-parter here. One, who are you eating with? And it can be anybody, living, dead, whoever. And where are you going?
So Whatcom County.
Anywhere in Whatcom County.
Not
Bellingham,
Lynden,
Blaine, Everson, I don't care. Anywhere. Honestly, if you say somewhere outside of Lynden, you'll probably never be allowed to go back in. Actually,
Okay.
yeah, you would.
Yeah, he's royalty on Lynden. I think it's okay.
He is royalty. He's no Blake Whitman, but he's
who I'm
royal.
going with. I'm probably, knowing what we know now, like Kurt Cramey would be up very high on the list. Not to get super sentimental, but I never knew either of my grandpas. They both died before I was born, so they'd be up on the list. So let's leave it at those top three. Where? I'll give you a few options and narrow down to one.
I like this.
So it used to be the Dutch Mothers. They have what's called the Front Street Pile Up. Super good. I don't know if they still have it though, because they just changed hands. That'd be up there. I know this is a Ferndale restaurant, but Coconut Kenny's super good.
Yeah.
I think it's the King Mahalo in there.
Yep.
Hey, what?
Very
A
delicious.
Lynden guy saying a Ferndale restaurant.
Hey, that's the only good thing they got.
Oh,
No,
That's
actually-
Jake Locker. That's all they got going on over there.
King Mahalo's better than that. I'm kidding. Actually, funny thing is, my address growing up was a Ferndale address, which is kind of interesting. Ferndale address, Lynden School District.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
I was really close to being on the wrong side. Let's see. Those are the first two that come to mind. Lynden's gotten better, but Lynden's food scene is not necessarily the most diverse or the best.
We've talked about this before.
So I'm
Tyler
not
and I've
giving you
talked about this.
classic Lynden Homer and it's just not. But
Yeah.
Oh, okay. The Nut House. Have you ever been to the Nut House Grill?
Yeah.
Their bread, their rolls.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I can eat those
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah.
And there's a really good little Mexican restaurant right next to there. Totally blanking on the name, but really good as well.
It's
In the
not
same
me, Mexico.
And the same complex there.
Cancun.
Yeah.
Cancun.
Yeah.
Yeah, try it out sometime. I'd probably have to go. It's a little bit nostalgic because I would get it a lot. Meet up with some buddies in the morning, breakfast. And it's where I talked to my father-in-law about marrying Jesse. So I'd probably have to go with the Front Street Pile Up from Dutch Mothers. Just classic Lynden, but good. So
See, when we did the all-decade teams, we also named a restaurant for each school that was like our all-decade restaurant. And of course, we had to do two of them for Lynden because of Lynden Christian and Lynden.
right.
But I'll tell you what, Tyler struggled a little bit to pick places. Like, it was a little bit of a struggle because he was like, you know what? It's just not like not a lot. Like,
I mean, there's good stuff, but it's just there's not a lot, right?
Right.
I mean,
well, I like Bob's Burgers and Brew is phenomenal.
Bob's is awesome. They give you a mountain of fries, which is great.
Yeah.
But now I think Linden's apparently got a really good food truck, like fish taco food truck in there. They got Avenue Bread apparently downtown now. So they're kind of on the up and up.
I like the Fairway Cafe. That's
so
pretty. Yeah.
Fairway Cafe is awesome. I went there a few times. It's solid. That's where you get some serious Lynden truthers that go there.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You might bump into Lawrence Honcoop or,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like if there was a TV show based on Lynden, that's where like all the old timers would go sit and like talk for parts of the show type of thing. Like,
yeah, you wouldn't even have to stage it. It would be yeah.
I would name a show to compare to, but you've probably never seen it anyway, so
probably not.
I got to ask you a little bit quickly, Josh, before we go about everyone knows playing quarterback, blah blah blah, but you were an all-state defensive back as well. How much pride did you take in playing corner? I mean, you're out there on an island with your guy. Were you guys mostly man to man when you guys played?
No, we were mostly zone, but with zone pretty much is man to man at
the
especially at the high school level where there's not a lot of concepts that are got not a lot of crossing routes. So a lot of times if you're lined up on the outside, that guy's like running a hitch or he's going deep or running a post. It's
right.
Or a slant. There's a fair, I don't know, 25% man to man maybe, and then the rest zone, some sort of zone. Playing in our league, there wasn't a lot of passing,
right?
And so not a ton of action. I begged Cramey to try to play safety, but he wouldn't let me, and we also had really good safeties. So just because corner, like, to be completely honest, there wasn't a lot of action.
Yeah, you're hoping for that sweep or the reverse or something, right, to come your way.
Something, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I definitely took a lot of pride in it. Definitely didn't want to look like a fool out there. But it wasn't the most complex position, to put it that way.
I always think it goes a long way at the high school level when your quarterback, your leader, is out there on defense, getting his nose dirty, getting in there. I always think it just helps. There's something about it for me, and maybe because the quarterback I played with, he played defensive end, so it was like, man, that guy is getting dirty, he's getting, right. and you rally around a guy like that, and so I think that goes a long way playing both sides of the ball. And a lot of quarterbacks, even especially if they're going on to college, maybe their senior year, they'll say, you know what, they'll just play at quarterback. You're not going to play defense this year. But I thought it was cool to see you get out there and be an all-state performer on the defensive side of the ball. And you're returning punts and doing all sorts of crazy things. But that's another story.
Yeah. I mean, it was just kind of the expectation, though, coming up to Lynden, being at a 2A school, your top players have to kind of play both ways.
Yeah.
And I know the only kind of caveat with that was, I think, interior line Cramey had, like, he tried not to have interior line go both ways just because that's so much, grinding. And although we had some that did it, but it was kind of the expectation. I didn't really know any different. And so, like, getting to college was kind of weird. Like, I don't have to do anything defense ever again. It was kind of strange.
Right.
But nice. But yeah, just, I don't think anybody looked at it necessarily like, oh man, Josh is, getting in there. First of all, I'm playing corner. I'm not really tackling everybody every play. But, just kind of the expectation with the program is you're kind of going to play both ways until told otherwise.
Yeah.
Tyler, there was somebody, and I don't remember if it was somebody that we interviewed or something. Oh, we wanted to talk about, in a previous podcast, we kind of forgot about it. There's 2 Lynden teams that people talk about as like the best ever. I think he was on both of them, and we need to settle that.
Well, no, there's lots of Lynden teams that are great, but the big push is always Josh's senior year against the next year, because they went undefeated and won state. And Josh's senior year, they lost that little game to Kings, and we don't talk about that. But Josh,
let's talk about it.
No, you're right, because we spoke about this over the summer. about that game. It was a week 1 game. It's short notice, and a close game that you lose against a good team was probably the best thing that happened for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, to trip up, probably, could have tripped up some other time because we played some good teams. Definitely, yeah, it kind of makes you put things into perspective a little bit and makes you a little bit more motivated for sure. Yeah, just a weird game. Talk about if you could create the most stressful thing for Coach Cramey. This is Coach Cramey operates. You could not come up with something more stressful than that.
Yeah.
A game that's like 48 hours notice with no time to prepare. I mean, that one is nightmare. But
on the road
against
a good team too.
Their quarterback went to BYU. They had an O lineman going to
ended up at Yale.
Yeah,
but he had Pac-12 offers.
Good
Mason Friedline.
Too. Yeah, good receiver too.
Yep.
So I mean, really good team. No excuses. Well, the only excuse I have is we didn't have Zach, which I think made a big difference. But they were a good team. They beat us, and I think they played well in the 1A and went on. I don't know.
I think they went to the quarterfinals that year.
Yeah.
But they lost to Montesano in like a mud bowl down in.
Oh, okay.
Actually, it might have been at Montesano, or it might have been at like Hoquiam or Aberdeen. I can't remember what it was, but there was a lot of excuses about why they lost that game. But yeah, no, that team was, really, really good. Billy Green was the quarterback, and Mason Friedline, and I'm trying to remember who the receiver was, but there's a couple of good receivers there. Caleb Perry, I think, was on that team. They were very, very good. And that's a tough place to play too. It's like kind of deep inside of a canyon, if you will. I don't know, but the school's up there. It's kind of, I'd say intimidating, but I mean, it's not a whole lot different than like a Whatcom County, feeling in that it's very tight confines there at, I'm gonna say it's Woolsey Stadium, if I can remember right, but Tyler, do you got anything else?
No, I just think it's awesome that you're willing to join us, Josh. I was a huge fan. And as far as just someone that, I've heard all these things. I don't know you very well, but as far as a football player goes, is what I know. And 37-2 as a starter, decorated on both sides of the ball and everything. But from what I hear from everybody, is even a better person. So that's really, really cool. And I'm just honored to have you join us on the podcast. It's really, really cool.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. And, grew up, great family, raised in a great town. And yeah, I really appreciate what you guys do for, Whatcom County football and I think other sports as well. And I cherish a lot of my memories, and I really appreciate you guys doing what you do for the game. And anytime you want to chat about football or any other stories, would love to hop on. So,
well, before we let you go, Tyler, I forgot we got one more question to ask.
Yeah, I was waiting for this one.
Yeah, but we are going to take you up on that like round table at some point. Like, we're going to do this. Like,
that'd be awesome.
I will get I've got it around here somewhere. Usually it's sitting right here. I've got mics I can put on everybody. Like, we're going to mic everybody up, and we're going to do a round table of Lynden football. And I got a feeling it'll be rather funny.
You might need to carve out like 4 or 5 hours.
That's fine with me. We'll make sure
I'll carve out 4 or 5 days, man. This is what I live for.
We'll make sure to put the two Blakes across from each other so that they're not like, they can't get at it too well. So the one question that we always finish with, and we always ask everybody, is if you can go back and play one game, replay one game that you played, which one is it and why?
So it's not going to be a football game.
So first off, everybody went with a loss. Like, I want to go back and play this game again because I know we can beat these guys. Until we got to Kamink.
Dan Kamink at Lynden.
Dan Kamink picked a win against Lynden, I believe.
Yeah.
And it was because the atmosphere was just incredible, and it was like something he wants to relive again.
Oh, okay.
You're going a different route here and picking I love it. I love the fact. What is it? Tyler, I know where he's going here. Yeah, I know baseball state championship game.
Yeah.
All right, talk about it.
Oh, you're making me talk about it. I should have told you guys I would stay on. No, I'm kidding. No, so yeah, I get this kind of question, not a question a lot, but comes up all the time. Yeah, so junior year, we won football, won basketball, and from as far as I know, no school at any level has won 3 in the
One of
same
them.
year.
The
One?
only one I know of, and I'm pretty sure I'm right on this, is Juanita did it in the 80s. I'm pretty
Okay.
sure Juanita did it in the 80s. But at 2A, definitely nobody. And honestly, I don't think anybody really came close. Odessa High School would have done it last year, but it got shut down because of
No.
COVID-19. Odessa returned like everybody from their baseball team that won it the year before. And if I can remember right, or no, maybe they lost it the year before and they returned everybody. Whatever it was, they were going to win state
Right.
baseball and they didn't get the chance. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty awesome thing to do. Pretty prestigious. So yeah, going into and baseball, there's a reason why there's series played and at the professional level. It's a game meant for series, but we get super lucky. We win a few games and we make it to the state championship against Archbishop Murphy, which people might argue with me, but that team was loaded. The team we're playing against, I'm not really sure we had any business being on the field with them. They're really good, but it's one game, right? We threw our ace. We threw Jordan the semifinal, so we didn't have our ace, but I forget who started the second game. But long story short, we are up in the bottom of the 7th by 2 runs, I think. It's first, runner on first, 1 out, and they hit a fly ball to left field, and it gets lost in the lights, and it drops. Just a bummer deal. And so instead of, if he catches that, it's 1 out. There's 2 outs, run on first, up by 1 or 2. You really like your chances, right? I think there's only 1 run. Doesn't matter. But really like chances. Now it's 2nd and 3rd, 1 out. Double plays out order. It's not good. They end up tying it. We go to extras. It's only 7 innings in high school baseball. And then we actually get up a run in the top of the 8th. And then so we go to the bottom of the 8th, up a run, and they get a couple hits and walk it off. Yeah, that's like not even a no-brainer. Which game I'd have back.
Where was that game played at?
It's in Yakima.
At County Stadium or whatever it is there.
Yeah.
That's a really cool facility.
Yeah, it was awesome. And it was just fun just being in the atmosphere like that. And, obviously love football, bright lights, and catching I had a love-hate relationship with playing catcher. But tell you what, catching a game that high stakes, really good players, really good hitters, like it's pretty hard to beat. Really fun.
Was there anything I got to kick? Was there anything added to this because you just beaten them in the football state championship as well? Your junior year.
Oh yeah, that was a
Oh, Tyler, we got to talk about that.
That game was
That's the intentional safety.
From what I understand, they had a couple guys that played football, but they didn't seem to have a lot of guys that played both.
Yeah.
I guess still don't think they do that very much.
Victor Gabalis
Murphy is very much football and baseball are kind of separate. They don't.
Yeah.
I know Victor Gabalis played.
Victor did. Their center fielder. Colin Montez did. And there's a couple of guys, but I don't think it's like Lynden where a lot of your guys are playing 3 sports type of thing.
Yeah, they had one really good player though. But anyways, I think there was a little bit of that, but not a lot. I think a lot of it was, I think we played them in districts that year and we lost to them. So there's a little bit of revenge there, but I will. Yeah, I guess I would take the junior year football game over the senior year baseball, but we got them at least in football.
Tell us about when coach, calls timeout or whatever, and you get the news on 3rd down to step out of bounds for intentional safety. What's going through your mind?
So it's kind of, unbelievable series of events. But I remember Kyle Hansen runs in, and I think it was 3rd and like 13 from our own 3.
It was back-to-back sacks.
And I almost got sacked the play before. My knee was not down. I think there's a picture of it. My knee's not down by like that much.
In the end zone?
Yeah, they didn't call it. I think Archbishop wanted it called a safety, which now it's like, well, you know,
it would have been okay, but
Yeah.
but I think like threw it out of bounds. And then so yeah, it's not looking good. And Kyle Hansen like trots on the field. They sub him out, or they subbed him in, whatever, and he's like, "Hey, coach said take the ball and run out of the back of the end zone." And I'm like, "Okay." And that's the thing with Cramey is he's so well respected. Like you don't question.
You just trust him. Yeah.
You don't throw your hands up at the sidelines, go like, "What do you mean?" You're just like, "Okay, I'm instructed to take the snap and run out of the back of the end zone." And I think he might have thrown in "Don't drop it" from a famous play from another Lynden team.
Oh,
yeah.
Fortunately.
Yep.
But and I think the play clock is running, so I'm like trying to get the snap off. I just snap it and run out of the back of the end zone. And I'm really confused what the play, and everybody, it's kind of funny. So I called a run play. I called a run play to the offensive line because you still got to tell them what to do. I just can't tell them to hike it.
Yeah.
I call like a just generic zone right or whatever. And I get the ball and I run out of the back of the end zone. I think maybe Brett, somebody who's like super competitive but wants to know what's going on, he was like freaking out on me, like, what's going on? You know, what are you doing? You know? And I'm like, I don't know. Coach told me to do this. And so like we kind of trot back to the sideline with the tail between our legs. And I don't think we really get explained what's going on because it's like, all right, now it's onside kick time. So just do what coach says.
I remember being at that game, and there was the seats that were in the end zones that were like up elevated. And I remember I was sitting there like almost looking directly down on you guys.
Yeah.
And you go out the back of the end zone, and I remember thinking to myself, like, wait, what the heck are they doing? And then I remember going, well, I mean, it's okay. So they had to score a touchdown anyway. It was either
down 4, right?
Yeah, it was 4 or 6. So it didn't make, it was 16, or excuse me, it was 14-10 before the safety. So then I remember being like, okay, well, I mean, they still got to score a touchdown, but like, what are they doing? And I didn't even know that you could like do an onside kick.
Nobody knew.
Yeah. And so then onside kick, and I'm like, I think, Tyler, you know that I say this every now and then, like that might've been the first time I ever said unbelievable turn of events, because it was just like, what just happened here? It went from 3rd and 13, or I think it was 3rd and 16 at the 3 to you guys have got the ball and you're going the other way. And it was like, it was just one of those things where the Lynden side was super loud and like excited, and the Archbishop Murphy side was like, wait a minute, but I thought that was a safety. Like,
he's like, is this even
like,
legal?
they didn't know what was going on. It was almost like watching from the movie Miracle, which I'm sure you haven't seen, but it was like watching Miracle when the Team USA gets up, and late in the game, the Russians didn't know to pull the goalie because they'd never been in that situation. So it was like, they were like, what is going on? You know what I mean? And I just remember looking at and Archbishop Murphy was coached by Dave Ward, who had won a state championship at Oak Harbor, and now he's at Cedar Woolley.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So very good coach. I just remember like this side was super excited, and this side was just like, what is going on right now? Like
there's some funny things, and this would be a good round table topic, but I will give out, you may have heard this before, probably from Blake or something, but the person that actually had that idea was the C team assistant coach. But his name was, I'm totally blanking on his name, but Taubenheim. He had the idea, but he didn't feel like he had like the authority. I mean, who wants to go tap on Coach Cramey's shoulder in that intense of a situation? Tell him what to do.
Is that Jim Taubenheim?
Yeah, Jim. Yeah, awesome guy. Yeah. So, I mean, who in their right mind would do that? Like, hey, let's give Coach Cramey a suggestion. And so he didn't want to do it. So Terry Kamick, which I don't know if you've met, awesome guy. His son played defensive line. He was C-team coach, really good relationship with Coach Cramey, and he obviously had the wherewithal, I guess, to go tell Coach Cramey, like, hey, this is an option. And then I think it shows a lot about Coach Cramey, able to process that information and then trust somebody that much to actually do that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that happens within, a play clock. I'm not sure exactly when he told him, but So obviously Coach Kramer deserves a lot of credit, gets the credit, but he would be the one to tell you that it wasn't his idea. But I think the onside kick might have been his idea, because I guess you're allowed to do whatever you want on a kickoff.
Well, it's funny you mentioned this, because we were actually talking about it before we came on the air here. And one of the things that Tyler and I were talking about was, because like I remembered it, but I didn't remember exactly what was going on. And after the game, Coach Cramey said, one of my assistants, Terry came up to me and said, hey, if we take a safety, we're only down 6. And so they did it, is basically what it is. And he says, one of my other assistants, didn't name it, says, we're going to kick it, right? And Cramey said, I don't think so. But then it was like, actually, you know what? Yes, we are. And then, the rest is history. And it's exactly what you said, though. After the game, this is Cramey in a nutshell. After the game, everybody wants to give him credit for it, but he's sitting here mentioning Terry Kamink. And, so that's, if that doesn't tell you who Kurt Cramey is right there, that's.
Yeah. And then talk about momentum, like you were saying, that Archbishop team was really good.
Yes.
I mean, we could have played that game 10 times. I would say to this day, they probably beat us more times than we beat them. I mean, they're a good team, and they totally stonewalled us the entire game until that last drive. I mean, you probably remember, Tyler, but it felt like it was just like 10 yards of pop all the way down the field, and we scored. And I mean, momentum is such a weird thing, and you can't ever it's a real thing though.
Especially at the high school level.
Oh yeah. And they were just like, what is going on? And we just ran down there. It was like easy. It was like, where was that all game? So I'll never forget Kyle Hansen handing that ball off and watching him run in. That was pretty awesome.
Great.
All right, Tyler, I got nothing else.
Yeah, no, I think we're good.
All right, well, point to Lynden up there on your map.
Yeah. Right there.
That's the Lynden star. As you can tell, we talk about it every week. It's a little off.
Yeah.
It should be a little bit above the blue one. I'm kidding.
Yeah, it should be. It should be. They both should be a little higher than that, but I love the mat. I love the sign.
A little far east too. Are we up in? I don't want to be associated with like Deming or anything. I'm kidding.
Well, the Deming.
Oh, I oughta.
Not even in Deming. It's in. It's almost in Skagit County, and then the Nooksack one is a little far south, and that one should have like a steam smell coming off of it, but. Awesome. I love the people in Nooksack.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, and then the Blaine one, we just need to get a little action figure of Tyler and put it there.
That's right.
Yeah,
just like a little. Anyway, Tyler Anderson, Whatcom Preps. I'm Ryland Spencer, Cascadia Preps. Josh Kraft, thank you for your time.
Hey, thank you. Really appreciate it.